Hi there. The lesser people pleasing you do, the better is going to be your quality of relationships. Now, when we have the instinct of people pleasing, what happens is for every interaction we do, every interaction we have, we tend to fixate so much on people pleasing that we sometimes lose the crux of the matter, the crux of the talk. So, what happens is, since your energy is so much fixated on how you are being perceived or whether this person is feeling good while talking to you, he's not seeing you as a, he or she is not seeing you as a threat, and likewise the more you think about things like that, the more your energy flows in that direction. Whereas where your energy should have been flowing is towards what we are talking about. Why? What is the reason that you're having this interaction in the first place? That reason can be very simple, like just having a good time, or it can be more complex, where you want to, get some knowledge from this person, or you want that person to do a task, or you are in need of some guidance, or anything. But since your energy gets so much focused on, your micro expressions and what kind of reaction the other person is having, so you try to gauge constantly that is this person happy with me, or or is he kind of giving me a look of disapproval or approval, and all that, all that shenanigans of the mind, that you kind of lose your focus. And then the losing of focus inevitably leads to lesser to diminished quality of the interaction. Because while, if you are not a people pleaser, or let's say someone who is not a people pleaser, while they are when they are interacting with someone, they are fixated on the topic, and they are making the discussion richer by contributing their own thoughts, and they are able to disagree where they want to and bring some new thoughts to the table. What you are doing is, instead of all these things what you have, which you could have been doing, you are just fixating on how you're being perceived. So that is one way where the quality of relationship suffers. Now, if you were not a people pleaser, you could have spent your energy in, as I said, in getting the discussion better, so that might have led to a better, might have led to some good moments of bonding, and who knows, you might have been able to go a little deeper on your talk in your talks, and the other person might have seen you as someone who matches their vibes. And there are so many possibilities which could have been explored, which were just nipped in the bud. Why? Because all of your energies were directed into making sure that the other person sees you as an ally, and you don't get any slightest semblance of disapproval from the other person. Another way where how it suffers is, the relationship suffer is, you kind of give a mixed signal. Now what happens is, sometimes we really don't like a person too much, the vibe don't match, and our core principles are very different from each other. But since we have mm, this um, this thing so ingrained in us, that we want to seek their approval, so we are not able to put our real feelings in front. We usually, it's like we are always kind of wearing a mask, and that confuses people. Because sometimes people know instinctively that you don't like them, but then when you interact in your communication, the words you use in your communication, the expressions, the micro expressions which you use in your communication, they usually are contrary to what you really think, and that gives a mixed signal. And then what happens over a period is that you kind of the kind of crowd you get, you build a community for yourself, where people are very bad at trusting their gut. Because even when people know you don't like them, they don't really rely on their gut, so they don't read those signals, and then they stick with you, because the kind of expressions you are giving tells them that you're okay with them. And then first is that, and second is you don't really like them. So disagreeable people, unlikable people in your opinion, they are the kind of people who form a circle around you, and that is a miserable place to be. Now, third thing, so we covered that how it undermines the quality of the interaction. Second thing is that of course you build a community of unlikable people. And one another thing is that you miss out on what it could be. For example, let's say I'll give you an example. Like, let's say someone says something, and someone says something funny, and because you're so fixated, all your micro expressions are fixated on making the other person feel comfortable, so you laugh at their jokes, and those jokes might not really be having the merit, that which needs you to laugh as much, to show so much approval. So now what happens is, you never know what is behind their humor. Maybe some behind their humor there's a pain which they're trying to mask. It's just a scenario I'm giving to you, so you know how you miss the depths of the interaction. So you're kind of missing on that. Now, if you weren't so fixated on pleasing the other person, you could have just taken a pause and kind of tried to dig deeper about why the person is reacting in the way they are reacting, and that might have led to, they're opening up to you more, and who knows, you would have known them at a much deeper level than the surface level, which is as a direct result of your people pleasing instinct that play. So these are the things. Now, how do we get out of this? First thing, so it's, of course, it's not a one day process. It needs constant, practice. So first thing is, of course, to develop courage, and the courage to, first you need to be comfortable with making people feel uncomfortable, because many times conversations do get into uncomfortable territory before they settle on an even keel, so as to say. For example, sometimes someone says that which you instinctively don't agree to, but if you leave that people pleasing on the side and you probe a little deeper, and then you might understand where the person is coming from. So, but that may that but that stage might come after a temporary moment of um, making the other person uncomfortable, and you telling them that you don't really understand what they're trying to say, or you really are not in sync with what they are saying. So first is that, because as people pleasers we are very uncomfortable when someone else gets uncomfortable. We see it as a direct threat, which might be related to our past experiences and whatnot. So first is that. Second thing, very important, in fact this should have been the first point, is pause. Pause and reflect. Now why pause and reflect? Because first, whenever you start, how to explain this? So let's say, whenever something is in your mind, your energy starts getting into that direction, and then when your energy gets going into that direction, your whole body starts manifesting it. Now how does people pleasing attitude, sorry, not attitude, instinct manifest itself? So how it manifests itself is your micro expressions. So you'll be smiling, you'll be nodding, you'll be, your eyes would be mirroring them, you'll be mirroring them in some way. So all your micro expression just kind of are giving the message that you're okay with what they are saying. But whenever you catch yourself doing that, so first you have to pause, and when you practice mindfulness or meditation, you're eventually going to get to that state where you're going to pause, where you're going to catch yourself that, oh, I'm on the familiar path of people pleasing. So now when you pause, you catch yourself. So what do? You try to remember. You remember, what was this about? Why is my energy going in that direction? What is the reason I'm interacting with them in the first place? And as I said, the reason might be, like just a little social interaction, just to have a good time, maybe, or maybe you're, trying to learn something from them or something. So pause and remind yourself why you are here in the first place. You're not here to please them. However difficult it may seem, you're not here to please them. You are here for a specific purpose. You are here to have a good time, or you are here to for some other for some worldly matters, some kind of something is to be, some transaction is to be done, or whatever it is, or you need to learn something from them. So pause and remind, do it again and again. Pause, remind. So pause, reflect, remind, do that. And third thing, it's a little controversial, but hear me out, hear me out on this. So let's say this is one end where we are into very much people pleasing, putting all our energies into making the other person feel comfortable. Basically, we are a very agreeable person. We come across as that. And on this end is, let's say, someone who's very disagreeable, who puts everything through their filter of their likes and dislikes and then reacts on what people are saying. So whenever you find yourself, whenever you pause and find yourself going this direction, I would say rather than being at this extreme, be at this extreme. Try to go at this extreme. Now that isn't to say that start being a disagreeable person, because that defeats the whole purpose of having an enriching conversation or a fulfilling relationship. But when you veer yourself in this direction, when you pull yourself in this direction instead of this, now because it's not in your nature to be very disagreeable due to years of whatever you have been, you are never going to go to this extreme. But what will happen is it will take you away from this extreme, and eventually over a period, over a lot of conversations, you're going to find your happy middle. You know, I love how this makes a heart. So you're going to find your happy middle. That will take practice. Sometimes you might just find yourself veering into the territory of disagreeableness, and that is okay. That is a journey. But then eventually you'll see that you're not this, and you'll start coming in the middle. And practice, practice, practice. When you feel yourself going to this end, just think about yourself, pause, think about yourself, focus on this this extreme, and then slowly move in this direction, and probably you'll stop over here. So those are some of the tips where you can, everyday tips which you can exercise in any social interaction. Probably get a more enriching relationship and get what you want. Why you were interacting in the first place. So that was just my take on the day-to-day effect on people pleasing. And of course it takes a lot of practice, and first takes a lot of courage, and before even courage it takes a lot of mindfulness, and seeing your feelings, and being cognizant of when this starts to happen, and then taking steps accordingly. Okay, hope this helps. Bye.